Well, hello everyone. This is Fadi, and I am so excited to kickstart a new video series here with my dear brother Joel Richardson. And of course, some of you know who Joel is, and he deals with prophecy. He also goes to the Middle East a lot and does a lot of tours into the possible location or the alternate location of Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia, northwestern region of Saudi Arabia by Tabuk, which he and I have done a video series on that. But also he goes to Amman, Jordan, or to Jordan in general. He goes to Israel and visit the Holy Land. So he does a lot of things, but of course he's known for his writings on prophecy and future events and how things are being fulfilled now. And that's really the essence of this video series in relationship to current events in the Middle East and how those events are fulfilling some, maybe even all of these biblical prophecies that he will be addressing with us. Joel, welcome back, brother. And it's an honor to work with you. And I'm so excited to do this series with you.
It's always good to be on with you, Fadi. It's a blessing to be here.
Thank you. So, brother, last time you and I did like at least two quick live streams about the events that ensued after October 7th. And we talked about what happened, of course, at that time and how Israel now is going to bat against Hamas. But since then, brother, a lot have changed. So if you want to just maybe take us back there. I know you said you were in Saudi when you were watching part of that initial attack that took place on October 7th. So maybe for the benefit of those that will be watching for the first time, if you can take us back in that journey and let's go from there.
Yeah, well, as you said, October 7th, 2023, I was actually up there in the Tabuk province. I was actually in Hakal, right by the border of Jordan, so only 15 miles from the border of Israel, when the October 7th attack, invasion, massacre happened. And of course, you know, all of these takfiris, they immediately are posting all of these videos on TikTok and social media. And so social media was flooded pretty early on with a lot of these just gruesome videos, incredibly emotional. And you and I have talked about, you know, some of the impact of these things. But since then, as you said, obviously we've seen Israel in a really, I would say, one of the most stunning feats of sort of spycraft, military spycraft in my lifetime. We saw them essentially dismantle Hezbollah, which was really, I mean, this was Iran's golden chalice. This was their project that they had been pouring into and working on for decades. And we saw Israel essentially disassemble Hezbollah, the world's largest, most well-funded terrorist organization, really in a matter of weeks, to where, you know, where they are right now is a very, very faint, sad reflection of what they once were. And, you know, this is not just, you know, sort of a shift in the geopolitical landscape of the region. This changes everything, not just with Hezbollah, but obviously what's unfolded since with the takeover of Syria by some of these radical groups, former Jabhat al-Nusra, sort of ISIS or Al-Qaeda offshoot type of Sunni groups. The geopolitical landscape of the entire Middle East is completely different today than it was 1 year ago. And the relevance of biblical prophecy to these things is significant. And a lot of people out there are very interested in what the Bible has to say about the Middle East and, you know, some of these events. And it's definitely something that's worth talking about.
Absolutely. And, you know, Joel, it's absolutely stunning, like you said, to watch what happened just recently in Syria. That alone, I keep telling people, was a clear indication that Israel have decimated Hezbollah, decimated the Iranian support, decimated any external powers that Syria and the Syrian regime used to depend on. And it was really an eye-opener on the extent of the damage that one small nation like Israel have done, geopolitically speaking. I mean, we're not talking about just one location. it will have a lasting impact, even that will reverberate beyond the Holy Land and beyond the boundaries of Israel. In fact, one would wonder now what would happen to the Houthis, who are way south because they get fed from the same source. But obviously, I'm going to throw in the Trump win in the election will also change the dynamics in a great fashion. And I wonder how that will impact, of course, Russian interest, I would say, into Syria. And I will throw in another thing that you and I have talked about, and you've been really vocal about it, the Turkish aspiration in terms of the expansion of the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, and this is really the biggest factor in all of this. And I think we'll take another whole session to specifically discuss this and its connection to biblical prophecy. But really, for the past 20 years, based on my understanding of biblical prophecy, I've been saying, watch Turkey. So from just a geopolitical, perspective, analyzing the landscape of the Middle East, most people over the past 10 years plus would say that Iran has always represented the single greatest threat to Israel, to the region, to the stability of the region. And not just the threat to Israel, but actually it represented the greatest existential threat. In other words, Iran and its various proxies, of whether that be Hezbollah, or the Houthis, or Bashar al-Assad in Syria, they represent the greatest potential to literally destroy Israel as a nation. And that's always been the case. Now, suddenly we've just seen, overnight that in many ways, Iran was kind of a paper tiger. It was a lot of talk. It was not nearly as powerful as it tried to pretend or believe that it was. Israel demonstrated that. But I've been saying that in the midst of this, all eyes on Iran, watch Turkey. Watch Turkey, because from a biblical perspective, from a prophetic perspective, the Bible seems to indicate that in this period just before the return of Jesus in the last days, it would actually be Turkey. And when I say Turkey, let me say Asia Minor or Anatolia, because really this could include the region of Syria and parts of northern Iraq. I've said, watch that area, because that's the area, that's the region that the Bible emphasizes as the greatest threat against Israel in the last days. And so the events of just the past few months have suddenly caused military analysts to say, okay, we thought Iran was the biggest threat. Now everything's changed. Everything has transferred to Turkey. And now we have Erdogan, the president of Turkey, basically talking about Turkish expansion into Syria, into Iraq, speaking as though he is sort of the father of Islam, of the whole Islamic world, and using a lot of expansionist, imperialistic kind of language. And so, yeah, things are coming together overnight in terms of confirming the words of the biblical prophets.
Yes, that's true. I mean, in fact, interestingly enough, on Monday I was teaching at a church gathering, men's breakfast, and I gave like a quick overview, and I referenced, by the way, your teaching, and hopefully everybody will take me up on that offer and go and follow your own sessions. And I mentioned to them about that 30 minutes that you have done in your podcast, Fulfilled. That was amazing. I told them about Netanyahu holding these two maps, and hopefully we'll touch on that. And during the Q&A session, they asked me, so who do you think behind al-Julani, this new leader in Syria? I said the de facto power here would be the Turkish, basically, power, and they have the interest in expanding the Ottoman Empire. And then I hop in my car, and President Trump was given like this long, basically, press conference, and he would get asked the same question, and guess what? He answered the same thing. I believe Turkey is behind this, and they did it in a very benign way, he says, and this been their dreams for 1,000 years, he said. And of course, we know what he means by that, but it was really interesting that he has his hand on the pulse here and understanding what's going on.
Yeah, it was good to hear that he did have an accurate assessment. Foreign policy has really been Trump's weak point, to be honest with you. I remember him making reference to Crete. No, I'm sorry, it was Kirkuk. in Iraq, and he said it was a Kurdish city in Syria. So like little details like that, it's not a strong point, but he is correct on this point that this is a victory in Syria for Turkey, for Erdogan, for the Islamists, for the Sunnis, and it's a loss for Russia, it's a loss for Iran, and for that reason, it's a complete game changer throughout the Middle East.
Well, brother, we're going to wrap up this one. When we come back next time, where do you want to start?
Let's actually look at Ezekiel 38, 39, and Daniel 11, and let's continue on this subject of Turkey and its relevance to biblical prophecy.
Wonderful. Folks, I hope you're enjoying this, and I know you will be blessed beyond belief when you are watching my brother here, Joel. I've followed him for a long time. I've learned tremendously from his writings, and at the same time, I can tell you he is a unique person in his perspective concerning Turkey. I don't think a whole lot of people who talk about biblical prophecies out there tend to focus in Turkey. They tend to focus on other nations. But I can tell you that my brother here, so far, has been right on the basically on target, if you wish. And I hope that everyone will be benefiting from not just this, but the rest of the stuff that he does as well. So until next time, folks, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And ring the bell so you will be notified when we release new content. Our mission is to reach Muslims with the gospel of Jesus Christ and help Christians engage with their Muslim neighbors. If you want to join us in this life-changing work, please support us on patreon.com/Cira International, or just click on the link below.